Air dribbles are not a walk in the park, but like any skill, with efficient practice focused on positive habit training, anything is possible. The goal in today's video isn't just to learn how to air dribble, but to learn how to air dribble. Our brains make sense of the world around us by contrasting opposite pieces of information in order to find that sweet spot. Every step of this air dribble tutorial is designed to deconstruct the mechanic, and then to practice with a contrast mentality. Step 1. The setup. Aligning yourself perpendicular to the wall, slowly accelerate into the ball to build up speed without letting the ball bounce. Once you are satisfied with the speed of your setup, brake just prior to the wall. This separation allows you to pop the ball off the wall and into the air. This is the first point of contrast in the deconstructed mechanic where we will learn valuable lessons. Test it for yourself. What happens if you brake too early? What happens if you brake too late? Once you feel you have found the sweet spot, it's important to practice in order to develop muscle memory. I like to take the ball back and forth on the sidewalls, popping the ball up, catching it, match the speed of the ball, brake, and then repeat. Step 2. The approach. Air dribbling from your own zone and the opponent's zone requires a different approach. In your own zone, you want to set the ball up so that you're at an angle between 35 and 45 degrees. This will cause the ball to pop up as well as towards the direction of the opponent's net. This is the second point in the deconstructed mechanic. Test it for yourself. What happens if you drive perpendicular to the wall in your own zone? What happens if you drive at an extreme angle? In the opponent's zone, you want the opposite. Drive perpendicular to the wall in order to pop the ball up aligned perfectly with the net. Practice your setup with different approaches, but make sure you don't lose track of what you learned in step 1. Layering habits is tricky. Every time you add a new layer, you risk losing focus of what you learned previously. For this reason, I suggest practicing step 1 multiple times each before each attempt at step 2. Step 3. Jumping off the wall. After you pop the ball off the wall for an air dribble, you want to jump immediately afterwards. Practice jumping too early and practice jumping too late, which causes you to be stuck above the ball, rendering you unable to get under the ball to commence the air dribble. The goal of this point in the deconstructed mechanic is to jump off the wall so that you are rising with the ball at the same speed while positioned under the ball. Step 4. The turn. After you've jumped off the wall, it's time to orient yourself. This can feel difficult at first, especially if you're using manual air roll. If you are, then I suggest pulling to the right on the right wall and to the left on the left wall. Otherwise, I highly recommend using air roll right. In doing so, I can simply press air roll right for a split second while turning slightly to the left, and my car instantly orients itself. Step 5. The flight. This is perhaps the most difficult aspect of an air dribble that requires the most practice. In order to effectively learn this step of the mechanic, you need to perfect all of the previous steps. Most people will spend countless hours mindlessly popping the ball off the wall with less than ideal setups, which limits the amount of time they get to practice this final step. Instead, take your time and layer it right. Once you have correctly popped the ball off the wall and are rising perfectly underneath, it's time to manage your flight. There are 3 key things to focus on in the following clips. Number 1. Where do we aim? If you pay attention to only my aim here, you can see that I constantly aim for the bottom of the ball. Anytime I accidentally aim too high, I will adjust downwards. This is how you stay under the ball. As you can see, the angle may change, but as the angle of the ball changes, our goal is to adapt in order to continuously aim for the bottom of the ball. Number 2, the first touch. The first touch is very similar to the touch we got off the wall. We want to hit the ball with enough power that we add to the upwards momentum of the ball, but not too hard that we hit it away from us. Number 3, when can we boost? As a general rule of thumb, we should stop boosting immediately prior to making contact with the ball and resume boosting immediately afterwards. If you boost while making contact with the ball, we will hit the ball too far away, and if we don't resume boosting after making contact, we won't be able to catch up to the ball for those follow-up touches. Alright, that's it for today's video. If you put all these steps together and focus your energy on the method of the learning, Along with the steps themselves, you have an excellent opportunity to grow and develop your skills. Remember, practice doesn't always mean perfect. You can practice bad habits over and over again without success. Instead, exaggerate and contrast your approach to each of these steps to identify that sweet spot and build muscle memory. Let me know if you want to learn any other skill or mechanic in the comments down below, and I'll get right to it. I appreciate any and all types of feedback. My goal with these videos is to offer some insight into how I learn, how I layer my practice, and how I deconstruct mechanics. Have fun, good luck, and happy air dribbling.